what I am is grateful to be here. Amen. I'm glad that gets a response. I was gone for a couple of weeks, made an unexpected trip to the home office for Unity's annual convention. Thomas Gallagher was there, Reverend Tim was there, Reverend Denise Schellink was with us. We were all part of a cohort of a class, the first class, the vanguard of integral ministry practice certification within Unity, which is a methodology of church governance, administration, and leadership designed to raise the consciousness of our community and to impact the world in positive ways. We intend to live our mission centered in God.
Centered in God.
We are transforming lives.
We are transforming lives.
And making a positive difference in the world.
And making a positive difference
in our world. Yes. We want to step into ownership of that in our own lives, as well as create this positive energy that impacts the world. And one of the ways we do that is by recognizing the truth of our absolute divine perfection, our wholeness. Not some future goal, not something we have to take 14 workshops to achieve, read 50 miles of spiritual self-help books on the shelf. Trust me, I had the collection. I moved part of it here to Hawaii, and I've let it go. Because we are all right now in divine perfection. Oh, I can hear the murmuring. I've got my own little murmur that goes on back here sometimes behind that's the left ear. The right ear is the divine voice. The one that says, you are enough. You are gifted. You are perfect as you are. Yeah, there's some stuff maybe you want to clean up, but that's not the truth of who you are. We are here to be our whole, perfect, divine self in every opportunity. Amen. And so the place to start is the recognition that all is welcome here in my experience, in my community, in my family, in my world, and in the greater world, that there is no experience, there is no person, no thing, no anything happening in my life that is not somehow present to deliver to me a greater good, a gift that I get to unwrap. And we know those don't look like birthday or Christmas gifts very often, do they? No, but we are still called to pull the ribbon on those gifts and reveal what wants to show itself for our learning, for our expansion, for our contribution to our own life and to the world. To let loose the light that we are in this world. That's who we are called here to be. That's why we claim this evolutionary purpose of transformation of self, so that we are empowered to help the world transform. And is there anybody who would say in this room that the world could not use a little transformation at this point? I resist watching constantly negative news because I want to choose a greater understanding of seeing beyond the circumstances that are in front of me. We cannot look at the world with our human intellect, our human-only thinking, which is often limited. We need to look at the world with divine sight. The eyes of the Christ presence that lives in us wants us to hold something bigger than the facts we can see in front of us. We are called to be this holder of a greater truth. Each of us starts in our own life. So all is welcome. Here is my talk title to say, let me welcome all of myself, all the parts of me that I've hidden from for years, all the parts that I wanted to put a mask on so you don't see how messed up I can be, all the parts that I would like to shove in some dark closet and close the door so they never see the light of day. But you know what happens to the stuff that we try and shove down out of sight? Doesn't it choose the most inopportune moment to shoot sideways with a blast of rage or anger or inappropriate something? Or is that just me? No, I didn't think so. Lived long enough to see some universal truth happening in me and around me. But the way to navigate the parts of ourselves that we have tried to divorce is to say, you too are welcome here. All of me is welcome here. I will bring my whole and holy self to every moment. So I embrace and invite those parts of myself that I have wanted to blame, that I've wanted to shame into non-existence. I invite them into a loving and compassionate embrace and say, I see you. I know you are there and that you have a gift for me in this lifetime. You were created, perhaps, in my consciousness to serve some need of my younger self, of a phase in life when maybe I wasn't living as skillfully as I might, or I wasn't equipped with an inner wisdom, this deeper understanding that sees beyond the circumstances where I stand right now. It got created to serve us somehow, these parts of ourselves that we would label undesirable. So we welcome them. I see you. And we declare right now that this temple of the holy presence is a shame-free, no self-blame zone. Amen. Anybody join me in that? Yeah. Right here, right now. This vehicle that you have arrived to live this life in and through is divine. Oh yeah, we got the human self as well. Trips us up now and again. And we are a choice in every moment to say, I choose the divine energy within me to express how I live in the world. I choose the divine energy, forgive me, Angela, to live with my stepdaughter, who I never use that term, the daughter of my heart, to help her become the woman she is called to be. I will stand by her in every trauma of her life, knowing that she is divine. Amen. She is equipped to live fully, expressing that divine nature. Now, we see that quite differently, she and I. I stand over here, kind of the left end of the spiritual spectrum, deep in mystical experience, deep in metaphysical understanding of my truth as who I am and my relationship to the God of my being. Not the God out there removed, the God that lives right here, that helps me transcend the human person that I am, brings those gifts forward, embraces all of them, and turns them into an effort of divine energy for good in the world, even those things that I think are undesirable. Now, the daughter, she's a Wiccan priestess. And I get credit for that sometimes because I put her on a path in a spiritual training when she was a floundering teenager. She lets me tell this story. I have her permission. That guided her in a path of opening to her own deeper understanding. And she bumped up against a community of Wiccan people that embraced her, and she found community. She found belonging. She found spiritual tools that allowed her to transform her life. And like many of us, here a number of decades later, I'll raise my hand to this, I am still learning how to embrace the whole of my being, to let those pieces that I've hid in the shadows, wanted to not be visible, let them come into light so that they can bring their gifts as well. to lay down my fear about the truth of who I am and say, just as Jesus said, the kingdom is here and now. And I am part of that kingdom. I am not some out of bounds individual who does not belong. I belong to the one who created the cosmos. And I belong to my holy and complete self. And through that energy, I get to impact the world by even the smallest interaction. My father died when I was 25, and I lived in a different state. And we knew he was coming near the end of the life. It was cancer. And so I came home, left my husband, the business responsibilities. I had to come home and hopefully be with my father at the end. Well, he had his own timetable. It wasn't my business timetable. And so I went back home because it was the end of the month. The billing had to happen for the business, and that was my task. Do you know that the evening I arrived home, I got a call? Dad had died, and I wasn't there. And I was so angry. Took me a while to recognize when I got back, when I was able to get back and be with the family, they were all in the trauma of having lived through those end-of-life moments, kind of not very pleasant. And I was the holder of the memory of Dad alive, still vibrant up to the last few days, still with his mind intact, sassy and frisky, and just as he was, smoking his pipe, which he'd given up because after all, lung cancer. Damn, no, I'm going to enjoy life the last hours I have. And so my fondest childhood memories are of Dad's pipe smoke. But I got to be the holder of reminding everyone in the family the strength that Dad had, because I didn't witness the trauma. I think that was his gift to me. He knew that I could be, for the family, what he needed left in that space. And I didn't know all that for a long time. And then years forward, I'm working in a company, an airline company in California, and a young woman tore down the hall past my office, sobbing in tears into the ladies' room. So I got up and stood outside and waited till she'd come out. Bianca had a brother that she dearly loved who lived in another state. And the brother had leukemia and was dying. And she'd been home a month or so before. But she was so sorrowful, so broken not to be there at the end. I said, Bianca, I know this hurts. I know this pain. What you may not know now is you are the holder of the life of your brother. You didn't have to live through the trauma that your family did. You can go home and be the reminder of the energy, the vibrant process that he was. You get to live into the understanding of truth that is beyond what we see in front of us. To those of us left behind, it always looks like an end has taken place. It does for us, that's true. Things shift and change. The energy changes form, it doesn't go anywhere. And when we can tune into that understanding, we can be that presence for someone else who's moving in grieving and sorrow. And all we have to do is hold the space for them. We don't have to give any advice or be anything other than a loving and compassionate presence. All is welcome here to open ourselves to living fully and embracing the life we are meant to live, we are meant to create in the world. So we look at ourselves, all the parts of ourselves, and we said, y'all come home. All is welcome here. You are welcome here. You are welcome. Come here, beloved. self. In the Hindu tradition, it is held that every heart contains the bud of a lotus flower. Do you know the lotus flower? How it grows and reaches that incredibly exotic and elegant bloom that we cherish as a symbol of enlightenment and beauty and abundance, that blossoming of our own soul. Well, that bud lives in a pond, and it stretches itself up through the water into the light so that the light can nurture and help it break open into its magnificence. And where are the roots of that lotus blossom, that magnificent bloom? They are stuck in the mud at the bottom of the pond. Yes, indeed, Reverend Tony. That lotus draws its sustenance from the mud, the muck, and the mire. What an amazing analogy for humanity. This human self with its foibles and those things we would call our faults and all that stuff we want to hide in some closet somewhere and never open the door and never take a look at. And this divine and holy essence that reaches for the light in every moment. Whether we know it or not, we are reaching for that blooming of our divine self, for that heart essence to expand and express for everyone around us, for ourselves, literally for the transformation and well-being of this world. All we have to do is let that heart energy stay open in the light. Yep, there's mud down there. But I see it. I claim it. I recognize. I might reach down and scoop up a handful and say, let me be this as well. Let me fully experience all that I am so that the world can experience all of my gifts. This is embodying the spiritual truth of your divine nature. This is living as Jesus called us to live, knowing that the kingdom is not some far-off goal that we're all plotting and planning with the afterlife travel agent as our final destination. No, we are to live in this kingdom now. Just as we speak every week. Divine order. I am in that right place at the right time, right now, and with the right people for the journey. With the right people for the journey. And that rightness begins with us, embracing all of it and saying, I see you. I see the truth of who you are. I see beyond those things that I would label undesirable. I see the holy light at the heart of your being. There's a beautiful song. I never get titles and names right. So the first phrase, or the basic phrase of the song is, I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. Can you step into that today and live from this embodied divine truth and bring all the rest of it along as the package? Let it come into the light so that it can be the love and the glory. If you choose, place your hand on your heart and repeat after me. I am as God created me.
I am as God created me.
Oh, that's a statement that needs energy, people. X believes it.
Amen.
Let's all scoop into that mud and believe this light lotus blossom opening truth for ourselves. I am as God created me.
I am as God created me.
In the light.